Hello and welcome back to your mat. Thanks so much for being here and choosing to flow with me. I'm Tess, if we haven't met yet. I'm a Sydney-based yoga teacher and I cater my flows to the underwater community. I am a freediver myself who really enjoys to swim and occasionally surf as well. So these movements are very transferable between the three. They kind of focus on things like hips, shoulder opening, intercostal muscles, diaphragms, all of that jazz, and of course diaphragms, as if we have more than one, just the one diaphragm. Of course we include some apnea here. And it's important to note that when you're choosing to opt into apnea flow, full lungs is about 80%. Empty lungs is a passive exhale. If we are trying to fill our lungs to the absolute brink or emptying them to the absolute bottom, and then we proceed to move our body in weird shapes, can actually risk doing more damage than good. So I encourage you to tune into your body, listen to the subtle cues, and we're not pushing breath holds either. The first inkling that you get to breathe, breathe. We can do our CO2 practice in the water with our buddies, but today it's all about gentle movement. So let's go for a funky flow, shall we? Starting in a seat. Can be seated on the knees or on the sit bones, whatever your body says today. When you arrive there, let the eyes close down. Let the gaze go from the world that is outside to the world that is happening on the inside. Maybe a micro tuck of the pelvis, stack the spine tall. Hands gently on the knees. No tension, no weight in the elbows or the shoulders. They get to be loose here. If you find your tongue stuck to the roof of your mouth, let it be floppy. Bring some attention to the path of your breath. The way that you sip it in through the nose travels down the throat and inflates your lungs like beautiful balloons. And then open mouth, let it exhale. Knit the ribs in at the bottom. Let your rebound inhale. Fill the belly, the ribs. Sip air all the way up to the collarbones. And then let it out gently. And keep the eyes closed for as long as you wish. We'll raise the hands off the knees, going into some wrist circles. Circle it out. And as you circle the wrists, we're reaching towards hands up high. Waving in the air like you just don't care. Maybe a lateral sway of the spine. And then release palms, fingers reach for a half body stretch, we'll call it. And then interlace hands behind back. First, straighten out through shoulders like your elbows were going to kiss each other. Keep the clasp, tuck the fist into right side body. Let chin lift, right ear drops down towards right shoulder. Maybe you gently nod the head, yes, no. Find any points of tightness, of tension that you've got in the neck, in the shoulder. Permission to pause anywhere that feels nice. And then arms thread back out center and behind. Keep the clasp this time tuck into left side rib cage between the hips and the ribs. Fill that gap. Left ear reaches towards left shoulder. while simultaneously the shoulders running away, trying to create space, like two magnets repelling each other. Let the chin bob in and back, the same way you did on the other side. Taking note that as much as we strive for evenness, I don't believe that's an achievable thing. We are uneven beings living in an unfair world, and that's all right. It's just part of living. L-I-V-I-N. Permission to pause where you need to melt the tension, melt the fascia in the neck and the shoulder. And then release. We'll move towards a reverse tabletop. Hands shoulder width, feet hip width. Maybe your fingers are pointing out at 90 degrees to protect the wrists. In breath up through hips. And exhale, let them sink back down. First apnea option in breath, 80% hold. And hold while you let hips sink back down. And tall through sternum. Roll onto soles of feet, hips up, let the breath out. And let the breath return. The next time you catch yourself on a passive exhale, it's a gentle bottom hold. As you sway your body smoothly through a high reverse table and through sit bones finding the ground, rock back onto heels. Soles of feet plant, breath returns to normal. Pause in your reverse table. Find strength through the quads, through the glutes, a micro tuck into the pelvis. Strength in wrists, arms, elbows, shoulders stacked. Neck stays strong and in line with the spine. And then let it down. Figure 4, right ankle crosses on top of left knee. Left heel creeps away from tush if you need more space, or maybe crawls towards if you need a little bit more oomph, a little bit more stretch to wake up down right hip. Anytime you've got an ankle or a wrist up in the air, opportunity to roll it out. Get that fascia snap, crackle, poppin'. Plant right foot back down, left ankle crosses on top of right knee. Figure 4 on the second side. The distance of heel to hip might be different on this side. Like we said, that's all right. Yoga is a practice of simple noticing and non-judgment. We're not here to judge what our meat suits are capable of today. We are here to be grateful that we can even sit in positions like this and get back up off of the ground. It's something you might not be able to do at every stage in your life, so moment of gratitude for that. Left knee as if it's pushing away from body. Create some length down the side of hip, outer left hip. And then release. Flop out the wrists. Knees, soles of feet come together to prepare for Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. Roll out the wrist through neck. And when you're ready to grip, hands onto feet. Pinky knife edges of feet sew together like the spine of a book, and the soles of your feet are the pages. Grow tall in the spine and hinge forward at the hips. Like your heart is reaching towards the space below. Gentle gaze onto the soles of your feet. If these were pages of the books of your life, what words would be written today? would the title of the chapter of this season be for you? Release the fold. We'll step it back, plank pose. Wrist to stack underneath shoulders. Tuck the toes for balance. Readjust your grip any way that you need. Find spider fingers and creases in your wrists are parallel to the top of your mat. We'll take an in breath and hold at 80% and lower down for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 4. Inhale the chest up, baby cobra. Exhale, dip right shoulder, right ear. Center. Left shoulder, left ear dip. We'll move back and forth here. Gently, slowly, to the pattern. That's going to be a little bit faster or a little bit slower than I'm moving on the screen. I highly encourage you to feel into your body and notice what pace it needs today. In left or right side, if you feel that you need to hang out there for a couple breaths. Always the reminder that in my class or any class, you can take a shape, leave a shape, add a shape. Honoring what's going on in your body space. Listening, and if body says sharp, you back off, and if it says dull, you lay into it. Let the fascia melt with time. Self-back child's pose. Forehead to rest gently on the ground. And if you like to set intentions for your practice, this would be the shape to do that in. If you need to bring some gratitude into your day or into your practice, this is also the time to do that. Tuck onto the toes, become strong in the hands. Hover your child's pose. Knees are a few inches, 10 centimeters off the ground. And then like a wave is rolling through your spine, ripple from the hips forward, plank pose. Gentle bend in the knees, roll back, Adho Mukha. Not taking a stop in any spot, but roll through, back to plank. Knees bend, hips rise, like the tide. We'll wave out our dog here. And permission to go for an apnea option if you wish. Permission to keep connecting to the breath, if that's calling. And 2 more ripples. Like liquid in the spine. Roll from tailbone all the way to skull. And find yourself in Adho Mukha Svanasana for the first flow. Deep bend into knees, chair pose, top of mat. Big toe mounds to touch, arms back to airplane wings. Draw arms in to prayer. Shiva tap, ground into left foot and tap the back of left shin with the right knee. Point the toes to tap. Knee to calf, toes to ground, knee to calf. And the next one, plant right leg far behind, Ashtachandrasana with cactus arms, high crescent lunge. Straighten out through both legs, grow tall. And then bend into left knee, plant hands inside, step it back, your vinyasa. Either straight to Adho Mukha or flow it through. Pressing the tops of feet, ripple back through the spine. Take a hop, bend into the knees, meet chair pose. Arms first to airplane wings for the balance, and then to heart center. Keep a micro tuck in your pelvis as you ground into right foot. Left knee taps the back of right calf. Shiva squat. Point in the toes as you tap left toes back. And bend in. Length to tap the toe. Strength to tap the shin. One more tap. And the next time you find your toes long, plant ball of foot, Chandrasana, high crescent lunge. Shine out through the sternum. And then straighten out through both legs. Arms sweep high. Bend into right knee, plant inside the foot, step it back. Flow through. Chaturanga lowers down. In breath for Urdhva Mukha. Roll onto toes, downward facing dog. Deep bend into the knees, chair pose. Arms reach back, crown reaches forward. Hands find heart, ground into left foot. Right toes to tap the back, and right knee to tap the back of left. 3 taps. Keep the strength through the outside of left leg. And on the 3rd tap, plant. Torso high, Chandrasana. In-breath raises you tall. And exhale, arms to airplane wings. Bend in the left knee, arrowhead. See just how strong you can stay in this pose. Can you, with or without the hands touching the ground, lift the back foot up and plant it back down? Maybe shift the weight forward to lift in the leg and plant. And next time you lift, bring weight all the way forward, figure 4 chair. Right ankle delivers on top of left knee. Hands can come to right knee to find some balance. Keep the tuck through the pelvis. And keep the torso weighing down heavy. Unravel, warrior 3. Right leg kicks back strong. Left leg like a tree trunk, grounded. Both feet to plan, stand tall. Arms reach high. Interlace and release the pointer fingers. Side bend, crescent moon over to right side. Length all the way from left pointer finger down, left side body, through the hips. In breath center. And sway over, crescent moon on the right side. Like a long curved line of energy from the pointer finger, down elbow, shoulder girdle, hips, all the way into right heel. Plant the hands, step back, your version vinyasa, straight to downward dog. You can even take a breath in child's if that's what you need to recollect. Deep bend in the knees. Meet chair pose, middle to top of mat. Arms reach back, airplane wings. Then to find heart center. Ground into right foot. Find Shiva taps with the left knee. Tap 1. Bend. Tap 2. Find strength. And on the 3rd, plant back, Chandrasana. High crescent with some cactus arms. Next, in-breath raises you tall, straighten out through both legs. Then rebend into right knee, torso finds hover over top of right. Arms reach back, airplane. Find the balance. Maybe hands come to a block or to the ground, or shift weight forward to barely raise left toes. A challenge for the balance, and honestly quite the challenge for the right quad too, isn't it? On the third time, cross left ankle on top of right knee. Find a figure 4 chair. Grow tall in the crown. And let left hand press onto left knee. Maybe that adds a bit of oomph into the left hip, encouraging the strength and the stretch. Plant both feet tall. Stand, roll the shoulders. Arms sweep high. Fingers point over to the right. Crescent moon. In breath, sway over to the left. Crescent other side. Forward fold. Fingertips plant, half lift. Plant the hands to step back. Your version, vinyasa. Lower the chest down. Press to tops of feet, chin lifts. And ripple back. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Downward facing dog. We meet again. And we'll find a moment of pause here in our Adho Mukha before we move into the final and longest flow of class today. Empty out the lungs completely, ribs knit in, breath out. Rebound belly inhales, full, rich, smooth. And open mouth exhale. Bend into the knees. Chair pose, feet plant top of mat. Arms first sweep back. And then forward, keeping a micro tuck into the pelvis. Plant into left foot. Right knee to tap back of left. And then toes reach. Tap for 2. Reach back. Tap for 3. Plant the ball of right foot, torso tall. Lunge. In breath, straighten out through both legs. And exhale to rebend into left, torso hovers over top. Crown and fingers are reaching in equal but opposite direction. Lean forward to lift left toes and plant. And next one, come right into figure 4. Chair pose. Use the hands to increase the stretch by placing on right knee, or maybe you like to challenge the balance by keeping them somewhere near the heart. Unravel, warrior 3. Virabhadrasana 3. Plant into both feet, stand tall. Inhale, arms high. Go for the pistol grip. Lean over towards right, creating length down left side body. Swivel back tall and bend to the left. Space down right side body. Next shape we'll play with is a dancer's pose. Plant firmly into both feet. Flip right hand out. Bend into right knee, grip the inside of right ankle. If this is a challenge for the balance, this is where we stay. If you'd like to tip forward, kick into right hand and hinge forward with the body. Left hand anywhere for a point of balance, can reach straight, can stay bent, find shape. Stay for one more full cycle of breath. And flip the grip onto the outside of the foot. Left hand comes to block or to floor. Chapasana, sugarcane pose. Release the grip, plant through both hands. Twisted side lunge. Right toes reach out parallel to left foot. Keep planted into both hands as you sweep right toes high for either half split or a play with some handstand switch hops. Called play for a reason. One more play. And as you land, right knee forward, left knee to ground back. Ashta-chandas. What am I saying? Low crescent lunge, Anjaneyasana. Let your hands reach forward as you deliver right knee to ground for pigeon pose. Giving our body a bit of breath after so much fire. Try to make them smooth, and by them I mean your breaths. Like, can you make the exhale twice as long as the inhale to slow down the heart? Press back onto hands. Ground into left knee as you kick right back and lower chaturanga, chin stand prep. Plant through both knees, Urdhva Mukha, upward facing. Ripple hips up and back, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing. Last flow, last side. Last chair pose, last proper. Bend into the knees. Come forward, strong and bent in the hips, tall spine. Hands come to heart, ground into right foot. Left knee taps, and then back. Tap again, and reach long. On the third tap, plant and Ashta-chandrasana. High crescent lunge, cactus out the arms. Inhale raises you tall and both legs straighten. Melt forward, rebend into right knee. Arrowhead pose. One shift forward to raise the left toes off the ground. And with the next bit of momentum, all the way forward for figure four chair. Left knee delivers on top of, left ankle delivers on top of right knee. You can use the strength in your hands to press further into the stretch, or use the strength in your core and the stability in your foot to challenge the balance. Unravel, left toes kick back and long, Virabhadrasana 3. Like your body is the shape of a capital letter T. Plant both feet down, stand tall. In-breath, arms raised tall. Interlace the fingers, pointers, to stay out, bend towards left. Length down right side body. Inhale through center. Crunch over to right side. Create length in left. Wave yourself back center. And dancer's pose, second side. This time, flip left palm out, bend into left knee, grip the inside of the ankle. First point is to stay here and ground through all four corners of right foot. If you'd like to go for the kick and hinge, kick left leg into right hand and hinge upper body forward. Hand either reaching forward or at heart center for some form of balance. as if you could keep the shoulders and the hips shining forward like headlights. One more cycle of breath. And then flip the grip onto the outside of left ankle. Right hand comes to a block or to the ground for Chipasana. Sugarcane pose. Length down the front side of left knee, left hips. And as you release, plant both hands, shoot left leg off to the side, parallel, for a twisted side lunge shape. Stay grounded through right foot, left toes sweep high, either standing split or option to have handstand playtime, switch kick it out. And then this time, left leg steps forward, right knee delivers to the ground for Anjaneyasana, low crescent lunge. Not to be confused with its taller sister, Ashtachandasana. Torso stacks tall, send the gravity down to the ground where it belongs. And then hands come forward, lower yourself into pigeon pose. Left knee bent, right toes shoot straight back. Straighten out the hips. And a slight hinge forward. Maybe you come to forearms. We're not going to our deepest variation. We're simply catching a moment of breath after having so much movement. Let your lungs breathe full. And as you press yourself back, stay grounded into right knee. Left toes kick high. And chaturanga with the upper body to barely tap chin for a supported chin stand. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Some waves to roll it out. Ripple through the spine to plank pose. Bend in the knees, bring hips high. Roll it on through. And then ripple back high. Option here to either take 2 full minutes of rest in a child's pose, or if you're like, I'm here for the fire, I'm here for the strength, we're doing 2 minutes of dolphin. From your Adho Mukha, lower down onto forearms. Keep the hips high. You might need to bend through one knee, bend through the other to give a little bit of solace to the lower back. But I encourage you to draw the shoulder girdle back and down. Keep the forearms pressed and tractioning to the ground. Hands are wide. Fingers like spidey fingers. Finger pads grip as knuckles lift and squish. You might be shaking a bit like I am, and that's all right. This is a reminder that we can do hard things. Keep the hips lifted, balls of feet planted, and heels reach for the ground. We've got about 45 seconds to go here, friends. Maybe that's 10 breaths-ish, depending on how fast we're breathing right now. Keep elbows drawing in towards each other, like you could press onto the outsides of your ears. Not actually, but energetically. High through the hips. Maybe a little bend in the knees to give quads a break. Stay strong here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, knees drop, child's pose. Let the belly grow between the legs. Forehead soft, elbows to rest. Clean out the lungs with some fresh breaths. That was some serious fire. It was for me anyways, not sure how it lands in everybody else's body. But let's start to genuinely slow it down. Option for 1 round of camel pose if you'd like to take a back bend in class. Knees are shoulder width apart, toes tucked under for the balance. Stand tall on the knees. Hands first to lower back for support. And tuck through the pelvis. Tighten through the glutes to protect lower back, and either one hand or both at the same time, reach back for the grip on the heels. Keep an even bend throughout every part of your spine, not to be dumping into L spine, the lower spine. Round evenly through thoracic, through C spine, cervical spine. Chin is a natural extension in the length that your spine is going. One more breath to broaden the collarbones. And then release back down, hero pose. Sit onto heels. Going for a Baddha Konasana again. We took this shape in the beginning of class. So we will reread the chapter that we wrote. Soles of feet first together, and then let big toes roll out and pinky knife edges be the spine of your book. Hands to massage onto the feet. Are there any more words to read here? Does the title of the chapter that you wrote still fit just as smoothly? Hinge forward as far as you wish. You can even let the neck be loose. Let it sway side to side. And signal to our body that this is the slowdown. This is the solace after the fire. And then roll yourself onto your belly. We'll take the famous T roll. They were going to meet the arm at some point. We're rolling onto shoulder. And we're creating space down left psoas. Head can stay lifted or give it a rest. Lay right ear onto ground. Gaze is over to left side. Gentle crack in the eyelids. Starting to decrease the amount of stimuli we're taking in. And roll back onto belly, both arms out to a T. Right shoulder, like the toes, we're going to tap onto left arm somewhere. Left ear towards left ground. You can stay lifted in the neck or lay down. Maybe you feel some length that's creating from right knee down front of quad through all of the ligaments of your mighty pelvis. Two more cycles of breath to breathe into the shoulder. And then into the hip as well. And bring yourself back to sometimes I make lift through legs, lotus pose. Like you're being pulled on all of the limbs, through the fingers, through the toes. Like your collarbones could separate further. Like there's a tripod coming out your sternum that is pushing you taller, taller, taller. Shoulder blades reach towards each other. Chin stays in line with spine. Option. This might feel like plenty of a back bend, and if it does, stay here. If you'd like to go for more, point through the toes, kick ankles into hands, roll up onto the hips. Each breath brings you 1 centimeter higher. Breathe with the top 20% of your lungs higher. Let it out. Higher. Let it out. And then exhale fully to release. And is that magical time of class where if there's any moves that you need to take before you find rest, permission to go there. If you're ready for Shavasana like I am, roll onto the back and go there. Arms a little bit wider, feet too. Maybe lose the hair tie, lose the watch. Anything that could distract from your comfort in this vitally important shape of yoga class. Roll the shoulder blades together, micro tuck into the pelvis. Get as much as yourself physically touching the ground as possible. And smoothness returns back to the breath. Belly has so much space to expand into the inhales. And gravity helps with the exhale. A few cycles of intentional breath, but then let it go. Internal gaze scan of the inner landscape. You are so supported by the ground. It's always here for you. Trust in that. All of your joints, all of your muscles get to be loose, get to be heavy here. Let any tension that you're holding in the brow space or the nose, the upper lip, jaw, tongue, let it melt. The shoulders seep into the ground like the elbows and the wrists do. Fingers are gently, naturally curled in, not holding, not widening. Your back, your spine doesn't have to do the job that it does all day, carrying you around and moving the body. It gets to be held by the ground. Hips sink in, mount. Quads are like, oh my goodness, this is what we've been waiting for all class. A looseness through the knees, down the shins and ankles. And feet gently flop. Any last bit of tension leaves through the toes. And I'll give us several moments of silence here. And you've got my word that I will come and wake you back up. And before you let any light in, let a little wiggle in. A twinkle through the toes and the fingers. Maybe start rolling head side to side. Circle out through wrists and ankles. Reach arms up high. Full body stretch. And as always, you can finish out class right here on your back. If you like to close in a seat, let's meet there. Hands first come to heart, and then thumbs to third eye. Trace the face to pause at the lips. Trace the chin to stop at the heart. And I hope that off the mat today with you, you can carry grace in your mind, some fire in your words, and some peace in your heart. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for practicing with me. It's truly a pleasure and honor, and I'll see you next time.